And welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Bob Scarborough.
And we are the FAIRtax Guys.
I think we actually timed out us saying that.
Just about.
Through Zoom, it's a technological impossibility to be synchronized. But, you know, I've heard people in orchestras and stuff during the pandemic that were using Zoom. I don't know how they did it, but they were all in time and everything.
Oh, well, they really nailed it. Well, I'll tell you what. Welcome back from CPAC. This is our first FAIRtax Power Radio episode recorded post CPAC. We got a little ahead in our recording schedule, in anticipation of going down there. But this was our first show back, and this is going to be our Cpac Wrapup. We got some pretty cool video from down there, and it was good to see you down there. It was good to see Laura Mchugh, who came down from North Carolina as well. Jim Bennett and his wife came down from New Jersey, but Marty Sturber gets the prize for coming the farthest. He came from California.
Right.
I'd seen him. I'd read some of the stuff he'd written, but I'd never met him in person before either. That was cool.
And I had people walk up because we had the shirts that had FAIRtax Guys on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking down the press row. I think it was Saturday afternoon, and somebody walked up behind me and said, "Man, I really appreciate what you all are doing." And I turned around and it was one of the volunteers from CPAC. They have a ton of people that are out there like a concierge, making sure that you don't walk in the wrong door or out the wrong door and through the whole week. And I said, well, I appreciate that. I've been involved. I've been a fan of the FAIRtax for a long time. I've been involved with the program for, a few years now. And I appreciate that. He says, you're really going to push it over the finish line. I know it's going to happen. He was very encouraging, but it was just really great to hear that. And we heard that a lot, interestingly enough. A lot of folks, we would think we live in a bubble or vacuum, and we don't hear too much other than what we see on social media or people that are around us. But it was nice to be somewhere in public like that and have somebody say, "Hey, y'all, appreciate what you all are doing." So
yeah, it was nice too that he didn't have time to stop and talk to us, but Eric Bowling from Newsmax walked by and gave us a big thumbs up, said he liked the FAIRtax, which kind of brings up something that I've been wanting to keep going with, and that is the FAIRtax needs to be more visible. I knew 500 was not a realistic number.
Right.
We had more representation this year than last year, but still not enough to really make an impact in a conference that size. So let me encourage.
It was a huge venue.
Let me encourage everybody who possibly can to start making their plans now to be at the next one. Because if Eric Bowling, we know he likes the FAIRtax, or he wouldn't have walked by and said anything to us, but he never says anything about it on the air because it's just not a big enough issue. So we need to make it a big enough issue.
That's right. And that's what we've heard from a lot of people. And that's where our volunteers, that's where folks that are listening and watching our program here, FAIRtax Power Radio, that's where you can get involved. Call your congressmen, your senators, get your folks in your neighborhood to think about how the FAIRtax can help them out. And especially in a time like we're in now, where there's upheaval around the world. We have financial issues with inflation. Of course, the old IRS is still out there, and that's one of the things that the FAIRtax can help eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
Get your neighborhood engaged, and let's make this thing happen. It can happen, and it's only going to happen with folks that are watching our program or listening or who have come in contact with the FAIRtax at some area of their lifetime to really let's push this thing forward. And I really enjoyed, honest to goodness, seeing all those young people out there, and they were excited about the FAIRtax.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, this is something we do every year when we go down there to CPAC. We wander through what they call CPAC Central. That is the vendor/exhibition area. And we spent some time there talking to several of the different vendors there. So planted a little FAIRtax seed in their mind, but we also wanted to, give some of them folks a bit of a platform so they could explain what their cause and issue is all about. And so we found some really interesting people there. So we've got some video here. Let's just go ahead and roll this here. This is you and me walking back and forth in CPAC Central and talking to whoever we could come up with.
Right. Let's watch.
Hello, I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Bob Scarborough.
And we are
the FAIRtax Guys
in CPAC Central 2022 in Orlando, Florida. Lots of booths, lots of people. We need to go check this out.
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, I'm Bob Paxton, one of the FAIRtax guys who are wandering around through CPAC Central 2022. And we're trying to talk to as many people as we can to get about what their causes are all about and leave a little seed about the FAIRtax as well. I have run into a live wire named Max Kelly with the CPAC Korea thing. What are we doing here?
Absolutely. So right now what we're really trying to do is get out there a hidden bill the left is really trying to push out. It's called Peace on the Korean Peninsula Act because they always have to give it that name that sounds nice.
Yes, that sounds like a really nice name. How can anybody be against peace in the Korea?
Thank you, exactly. So the official bill is HR 3446, and essentially if it goes through, and I'm not kidding, we're going to have to pull out all of the U.S. Army from South Korea, and basically the Afghanistan situation, but the East this time. We're going to have people in America going to North Korea as tourists. I said, if anyone remembers Auto War and Beer, it's going to be that times 10 or more. And we're going to have a North Korean office in D.C. America will not have one in North Korea, though. So essentially, I'm not sure about you, but I think that's a bad deal. So.
Oh, Marshall, what kind of effort are you doing here at CPAC?
Absolutely. We have a petition right over here. We're having people sign, good old-fashioned American way, and we're just trying to get it well known, because, again, the left is trying to, sneak this one in, so.
All right, well, we wish you success. And what was that bill number again that folks can go to Popbox? We tell when we're trying to get people to support the FAIRtax, we tell them to go to Popbox and leave nice messages about HR 25. People need to go to Popbox and leave the other kind of messages for this one. So again, what's that bill number?
Absolutely, and that's what you're doing is amazing, and I really appreciate it. The bill is HR 3446.
All right. Well, appreciate you talking to us. Good luck in your endeavor there.
You too.
And I believe Scarborough has found some movie folks that have got a pretty interesting little project they're working on.
At CPAC Central, and I'm standing here with Lawrence Brown, veteran, Army in the Vietnam War, 1972 to 77. It's good to have you. Thank you for your service.
Well, you're welcome, sir. It's an honor to serve and to continue to serve our great nation.
We appreciate that. And you have an interesting DVD set up here at CPAC Central today. 8 years in the making. Tell us about it. Bring up that DVD so we can see it. It's called No Time to Run. What's it all about?
No Time to Run answers the question every American has asked: what would our founding fathers think if they could come forward in time and see our country today? That question is definitively answered in this movie. And more importantly, this movie is designed to elevate our 4 F's, is what I call them: our faith, our founders, our freedom, and our flag, back to the exalted position that they all rightly deserve.
This is great. And for those of you who have the ability to do so, you can scan this QR code, or you can go to the website, notimetorun.com. Thanks, Lawrence.
Well, thank you, sir. It was an honor to serve you all.
Absolutely. And Bob's over there.
And we continue our circulation through CPAC Central here 2022 in Orlando. We have run into an old FAIRtax. Hey, Scarborough, come here a second. I want you to meet a friend of mine. This is Alex Stovall.
Mr. Stovall.
If you will look at the FAIRtax candidate pledge signer list, you will see his name at the very top of it.
Very nice.
We spoke to him in Las Vegas at the candidate forum, and glad to run into you here. How's the campaign going?
It's going better than I could ever asked for, actually. It's been going really well.
How are people receiving the FAIRtax?
Very well. I don't think anybody in Arizona wants higher taxes, now that I think about it.
Yeah, nobody anywhere wants withholding from their paycheck and likes to fill in tax returns and stuff. Come here, Bob. Now, you still got to meet him. Go ahead.
What? You want me to say something?
Oh,
now?
Sure, I do. I mean, I'm trying to introduce you to my friend here and get you all to talk a little bit.
Well, let's see. I don't think anybody wants higher taxes. And the people that I talk to always say, what do you mean? I get to keep my entire paycheck? What's that all about?
Imagine that. Taxes were actually supposed to be temporary. Most people don't know that. They were supposed to be temporary, and then somebody thought it was a great idea to start taxing, you know? It's a delicate topic for some people, especially if you're dealing with businesses, but I think at the end of the day, lower the cost of living is going to solve a lot of the issues. You don't have
remember
to.
a time when there's no taxes. You have to go all the way back to 1913 or before, or you have to be over 110 years old.
I think Pelosi's 130, right?
Yeah, she might remember it.
We'll have to ask her. Well, of course she remembers it.
Well,
But that's the thing. We are a society that has no understanding of what the income tax isn't. I mean, a time when there was no income tax. We can't remember that. This has been it from day one for us.
my favorite slogan that they've developed is no taxation without representation. I think that speaks volumes, and that says everything that Americans need to hear. You can't just tax people for the sake of taxing them. I mean, in Texas right now, you purchase a home, and Arizona is very similar. You purchase a home and you don't actually own the land. You just own the rights to the land. It's such a perverted, wicked, evil concept. The American people actually want to own what they've worked for. So I think the tax pledge is an amazing thing, and I keep encouraging people to get involved and sign it.
We sure appreciate your support of the FAIRtax.
I got to run to get another interview.
All right. And if you see Willie Montague or Reuben Young hanging around here, tell them we're here looking for them.
Thanks for looking for them. Yeah, will do. Thank you, and God bless America.
Maria Wagner is the membership manager for Empowering Moms for America. Welcome to FAIRtax Power Radio. We're here at CPAC Central. It's been a busy week.
Very.
And so tell me a little bit about what you are doing, what the group is doing here today.
Well, Moms for America is trying to equip moms all over the country on educating their children on the Constitution, on freedom, on foster that passion for patriotism. It starts in the home, and we have a few initiatives that we've had, like Mom Force. We have a couple executive directors on staff that help educate moms on how to run for school board, how to identify school board members, and just help parents that are unhappy with the situation in their school boards. What I do is I'm the membership manager, so when moms, I'm like the first person they're going to talk to. How do I get connected? This is my passion. What do you have for me? I'm going to direct you in that way, but I'm also going to encourage them to go to our cottage meetings. These are virtually, and I am the moderator. Just last week we had 33 moms in 9 different states, and we have an amazing teacher, Julene, and she teaches the values and the principles of freedom and the Constitution. So we run that for 12 weeks, and then the moms kind of get inspired and feel uplifted to do something and to get active in their communities, maybe run for school board or a different office, and it just encourages them, and we just have a lot more resources to share with them.
We know that all politics is local primarily. School boards are as important as any elected office in a local community, city council, county council, etc., mayor, council chairman and all. So this is an opportunity for women, even children, to get involved with the parental involvement as well. Now, you all had something really special happen when we were at CPAC. So tell me a little bit about this truck that you all put on the road.
Well, our president, Kimberly Fletcher, had an amazing idea of sponsoring a rig, and we just absolutely loved it. And we were blessed to have the press conference yesterday, and we had it wrapped with our logo and the Statue of Liberty and our 3 pillars of what we stand on. And we had a mama bear that's driving the rig. She took off yesterday morning, and if you go to keepfreedom.com, you can track where she's going and where her next stop will be.
That's fantastic. At CPAC 2022, it's Moms for America. Thank you so much for being a part of the whole freedom thing. This is great. We look forward to following all of your activities in the future, too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And Bob Paxton is somewhere. Oh, there he is.
Hi, I'm Laura Mchugh, and I'm here with my FAIRtax friends at the CPAC conference. We're very excited to be here, and I am talking with Bob Paxton, who is one of the FAIRtax Radio guys. And Bob has something very interesting with him. We're going to ask him about it. Bob, what is that you have in your hand?
Leave me alone. I'm working on my income tax.
Is it difficult?
Does it look difficult?
I wouldn't even attempt it.
So unfortunately, you don't have a chance. If you don't attempt it, you go to jail. It's called tax evasion.
What can we do about it?
Well, if I were you, I'd just rip the whole thing out by the roots and put the FAIRtax in. You know, that's this one. But right now we're dealing with this one, and I'm about halfway through, and it's going to take me a while. So I'll see you later.
Bob, thank you very much. It sounds like the income tax is complicated, and the average person can't do a Rubik's Cube, and I don't think the average person can figure out their income tax.
The average person can't. They have to hire a professional, or they get TurboTax, or they get something like that. If they do it by themselves, they'll probably mess it up because nobody knows what the rules are. It keeps changing. You can ask 50 people the same question. They'll get 50 different answers on how much somebody owes. Income tax is impossible, almost like this.
So if we don't know what the rules are, then how can we possibly play by the rules as good citizens?
You can't.
So what's your recommendation? Tell us a little bit about the FAIRtax.
My recommendation is to get rid of this monstrosity and replace it with this monstrosity. This little thing, it's not a monstrosity at all. This is the FAIRtax. You just simply pay your federal taxes at the cash register when you buy things. They're included in the prices of all the new goods and services you buy, and you never have to fill out tax returns. And Uncle Sam never gets a big chunk of your paycheck before you get it because there's no more withholding, and there's no more federal payroll taxes with a FAIRtax. This is a whole lot better than this.
I think most people would agree with you.
Well, good. All we got to do is let enough people know that it's out there, because once they understand it, they'll demand it.
I totally agree. Thank you for this interview, Bob, and I hope you can make that work.
Oh, I will. It's just take me a little while longer, so I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, that was fun. Now I've got to give a shout out to Laura Mchugh, who came down from North Carolina when we were playing that little segment there on the end where she was talking to me. She thought I was just going to give her a nice, easy, cooperative interview. She had no idea I was going to mess with her a little bit like we did. So I kind of made her think on her feet, but she did a pretty good job with that. So that is a good idea. So hopefully,
hey, if you're
Laura.
in North Carolina, there's a Facebook North Carolina FAIRtax page that you need to go ahead and go on there and be a part of it. South Carolina too, and a lot of states do. So wherever you might happen to be viewing our program or listening, just check out Facebook and type in FAIRtax and your state. And if it's not there, get in touch with us and let us know. We'll make sure that there's a FAIRtax position available in the social media for your state if it's not there. But I believe you'll find it there.
Okay, well, I'll say I got to give Laura Mchugh props on that one because I threw her a curveball and she hit it out pretty well. Now, let me go ahead to this next one. This is a really interesting fellow that you met down there in CPAC Central. He called himself the most audited man in America and says that was a title he didn't particularly want. Set that up.
Right. David Thomas Roberts is a writer, an author, a publisher. Defiance Press and Publishing is the name of the company. And he has, I don't know, over 25 or 30 authors that are professors and doctors and thinkers. And his company promotes high quality and thought-provoking books to readers, partnering with outstanding conservative and libertarian authors in politics, fiction, business, children's and nonfiction genres via the alternative and traditional book distribution methods like online. He had a nice setup there at CPAC Central, and we talked about the book that he wrote and what that's all about and how it kind of dovetails into the FAIRtax.
All right, well, let's just roll that and have a look at it.
At CPAC 2022 with David Thomas Roberts. He's from Texas, I believe. I recognize the hat from somewhere.
Yeah, I am. And probably you're looking at the background here and see the Alamo, too. That's probably a hint.
Well, and it's a great stage. We're here at CPAC Central. You have a book called The Death of Liberty. It has to do with income taxes. Tell us a little bit about it.
It does. Originally, when I was deciding to write this book, it was because I was called the most audited man in America. And that's a title I didn't want, Bob. But 8 years during the Obama administration, and so I instead of writing about all the, because there's a lot of horror stories about the IRS and being audited, I took a much deeper dive into how we got here and why we even have the income tax. And so it goes through the history of that, what actually happened in America that led us to the point that we've got this uncontrollable, progressive 77,000 page tax code that nobody understands.
And the difference between income tax and what the FAIRtax is talking about, what we are about, is consumption. And we're not necessarily talking about the amount of money that is collected by the federal government. We're just talking about how it's collected.
Oh yeah, I mean it's Byzantine. It's oppressive. It's nobody understands it. And politicians use it as a weapon, and they reward their cronies and they punish their enemies. I was obviously an enemy of the state with the Obama administration because of I was caught up in the Tea Party scandals with the IRS, and so we got to live that unfortunately firsthand. And so I promise you, the Founding Fathers never dreamed that we'd have a direct income tax and would have never approved it.
You have the picture of the U.S. Treasury on the front of your book, The Death of Liberty. And are those, what are those on there? Blood stains from the
blood coming down from the U.S. Treasury. It's the eking of the blood out of Americans, sucking the blood out of them with the IRS tax code.
And where is this book available?
At any bookstore. You can go to Defiance Press, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. They all have it.
That's great. Thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for what y'all do.
David Thomas Roberts, right here with us at CPAC 2022.
Good job. All right, that was an interesting interview. I like the cowboy hat and the Alamo background. That really caught everybody's attention.
It did. And they are a major. They are a major sponsor of CPAC. Defiance Press is, and so they had a fairly large stage set up immediately behind the CPAC stage. And the cool thing that I liked about going down there was being able to see how the media is set up, understanding that media is not just television or radio anymore, that it's social media as well with video and audio. And it was quite fantastic to see all of that set up.
Yes,
now, you had an opportunity to talk with America's toughest sheriff. I thought that was exciting.
Yeah, this was kind of in conjunction there with your David Thomas Roberts guy. They were right across from each other, and some of Sheriff Joe Arpaio's books were there on the stand. And this isn't necessarily, greatly FAIRtax related, but when you have a chance to talk to someone of Joe Arpaio's, stature and notoriety, you don't turn it down.
That's exactly right.
So let's roll this, our talk with Sheriff Joe Arpaio from Arizona.
And we're happy to be talking today at the CPAC Central in Orlando 2022 with what should be a fairly familiar face to most folks, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Thank you for taking time to speak with us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, our movement, the FAIRtax, is really all about liberty. We're trying to liberate people from the income tax and the income tax code. You're on the liberty bandwagon as well, but in a bit of another way. But there are a couple of things I want to ask you about. You're there in Arizona, right on the border state. You see stuff going on the southern border that nobody else does. What's going on down there that people are not seeing that they need to see?
Well, the politicians, because I covered the border for 38 years. I was head of the federal drug enforcement in Mexico, and then on the other side, sheriff, and then Texas. I can go on and on, so I know where the border is. Okay. I'm a little discouraged because every time there's an election, all the elected officials run to the border. They stand in front of the chicken wire fence, and they say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's been 25 years. No one's done anything. Now, Trump was pretty good at it, but still there was a problem there. Now we have a big problem with the Biden administration, where they're coming over by the thousand. So it's a little different now than.
That's what I wanted to ask you. What is different now between this administration and the previous one?
Well, the last one got me in trouble because I used to lock up the illegals in the interior after they cross the border. That's about, I think, 250,000. So another thing they always say at the border, well, we have to secure the border first, and then we will look at the interior. That border will never be completely locked down. You know what I'm saying? That's a cop-out. They do not want to lock up the illegals inside our country. A lot of people don't want that. Even politicians don't talk about it. I did. I think I got $250,000. Got me in trouble with a corrupt federal judge.
Oh, yes.
Obama.
I heard about that.
They all went after it. So you know what? If they get across the border illegally, they violating the law, lock them up.
What happens to them now? What happens to someone now who comes across the border illegally and is caught by the Border Patrol?
Well, they're turned over. The policy now is let them go. They're transporting them around our country. They just go. No one checks them for health. No one really checks them for their records. And when I worked in Turkey and all the areas, you really think they know how to keep records? So you got all these people coming over. They could be terrorists. They could be anything. I was just at the border. My friend that worked for me. He saw a dog. Two people from Colombia and the dog crossed over. The Border Patrol took the two people. I'm sure they're going to be shipped somewhere. The dog they let in the desert. So here's Biden, and I agree with him. It's tough to separate kids. What about all the dogs?
Wow.
What about the dogs? So I put that out. I put it out. So it's tough.
Well, we hear about these clandestine flights that land plane loads of illegals in states well away from the border. How much of that is going on?
Well, nothing surprises me right now, but I will say one thing. I'm very discouraged because all these guys, politicians, now Trump started to talk about it. They forget the drugs. It's always illegal immigration. Now because we have an epidemic killing thousands and thousands of people, they're starting to talk, oh, it comes from Mexico. We have to do something about the border because of the drug problem. Where have they been all these years?
Good point. Something else I wanted to talk to you about. You have got a pretty, shall we say, unorthodox way of dealing with crime, and it works. We're seeing crime explode in major cities all across the country. What are they doing wrong that you did right?
Well, you know, I'm running for mayor of my hometown, Fountain Hills, Arizona. And Trump and others better start talking about mayors. They're destroying our country. It's always senators. And what about the mayors that run these cities and allow all this to happen? They allowed the riots to happen. They want to defund the police. They don't back the police up. What about those mayors?
So I take it you're not a fan of getting rid of the cash bail like they're talking about.
No. They're letting everybody go, and it's sad, their new policies.
Now, you had it pretty well under control in your county when you were sheriff. What are some of the things for folks, if there's anybody out there that's been living under a rock and wasn't totally familiar with what you've been doing, what was your approach to fighting crime and making sure that a prisoner that got sent to jail once never wanted to come back?
So I'm not a magician. I look at myself that I have two things going for me. Life experience, I sure have that, and common sense. And that's what I use. Plus, but I have one more thing. I don't surrender. I'm an elected sheriff, took on Obama on a birth certificate. I go on and on. So now it's sad because the cops are afraid to do anything. They stop someone, and you got the video cameras. Mayors, police chiefs give in. They call the Justice Department because they're afraid of the heat, because of the video, and they throw the cops under the bus.
How do we fix that?
Anymore.
How do we fix that?
Well, you're not going to fix it. Well, you got to get the good mayors and police chiefs and district attorneys, but that's not going to happen with this administration. So what you have to do, like I did, I had 3,000 posse guys. I armed 700. It's all free. So they ought to start using volunteers to help the cops.
Tell us about this.
This book, and you do know my friend Dave Thomas Robert.
We just talked to him a couple of minutes ago. Hold it up there so folks can see it.
This book, I wrote 2 books. America's Toughest Sheriff in '96, 2012, Joe's Law. This is the best. The best. I'll tell you why. I keep records since I was born. There is nothing in this book I can't prove. Nothing. I have records. I've been on 5,000 interviews around the world. I have every tape. I don't know about you if I'm going to take it.
You can have a copy of this one too if you want it.
So there's nothing in this book that I can't prove.
Where would people pick that up?
Right here now, but they can go to Amazon, Walmart, and right now on the street we're selling it here. But it is a great book. It goes back into my history. Now, my guy, David, said, we're going to put your bio. I said, don't waste the 5 pages. But he did put it in, which I'm glad he did, because it gives me credibility when I talk about my history. So I go after everybody, but I'm a professional. I don't really swear. Even when I'm on TV, I try to be a little professional. Now, I'll zero in on people. So I'm proud of the tent city. I started in '92. And I even talk about pink underwear. It just arrived last night. I'm reissuing that program. And the money goes to help the cops. It's from pink that the inmates wore to blue are the cops. So I got here from Pakistan. I was worried that Afghanistan would bomb my underwear, bomb the ship that they were moving to California. It made it. Then I got through California in 3 days. So that underwear arrived last night. So everybody has the underwear. Remember Mueller, he investigated.
Oh, yeah.
He's got my underwear. You'd be shocked who has my underwear. So that's...
All right.
I'm going to go down as a pink underwear shirt. You'll forget everything else.
Yeah, that'll get you remembered. Well, again, we thank you so much for what you've done for the spirit of America, and glad to have met you and appreciate your time today.
Thanks for your hard work.
Oh man, what a character!
I'm telling you, and
you've got to admire somebody who
underwear that he's going to be.
That's what I've said. You got to admire someone who hands his inmates pink underwear and does everything he could possibly do to make sure that anybody who comes to his jail never wants to come back.
Absolutely, make it as difficult as possible, and that's what. Well, we won't get it. That's a show topic for another show. Is how good people have it in jail sometimes. It's just amazing to me.
Well, I don't have any personal experience with that, so I can't relate to that. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I have no idea. Marion County, South Carolina. There's a story from about 1978. I could tell, but I'm not going to do that.
Just asking for a friend. Okay, but again, CPAC, I'd have to say was a success. I would like to have made a bigger impact by having more people here. So again, we'll ask everybody who possibly can. And unfortunately, Americans for Fair Taxation, and I don't think any of the state level organizations have the budget to send anybody. So you're going to have to come on your own dime. But it's especially if it's in Florida again. We don't know if it's going to be in Florida or DC for 2023. But when it's in February, Florida's a really good place to come. So if they have it in Florida again, we wanted you enjoyed that, didn't you?
Yeah, it was nice. It was 75. There was one day it was a little chilly, but most of the time it was very pleasant. Yeah, and I came back up and came through some rain back into North Carolina late in the evening at the end of the week, and I got to tell you the difference. Hey, Florida this time of year, yeah, nice and sunny. I can see why you're down there, but I'll bet it's hot as you know what in August down there.
Yeah, and we do get where I am in Ocala, which is right in the middle of the state, we generally don't get too much of the tropical weather, the other hurricanes and the tropical storms.
Right.
But they'll skirt us sometimes. We'll get some rain and a little bit of wind. We've never really, when I've been here since the mid 70s, we've never really been hit directly with anything that was, hugely, destructive.
Right.
But that's a pretty good way to do it. But
Okay,
we
for everybody to get together. I mean, the folks that we talk to all the time, you and I sit on the phone sometimes or email, and here we are looking at each other on Zoom. But it was really great to have a time where a gathering of individuals could come together. We always talk about the FAIRtax being bipartisan. I would hope that at some point in time we can engage, and I mean really engage, with the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, if there was a big conference, a similar sized conference for people on the other side of the aisle, we'd go there and tell them about the FAIRtax as well, because FAIRtax is for everybody. But I tell you, we kind of need to wrap this up. We're a bit more than a bit over our normal time zone.
There's a lot of time there.
There was a lot of video. We wanted to get it all. But again, we encourage everyone to make their plans to come to CPAC next year. And hopefully you'll come back down, Laura will come back down, and then we can just have us another grand old time.
That's right. Hey, and the food at the establishment, the hotel, and you probably have seen pictures of the place, but the food availability was really nice.
Yes.
And the company was the best. The folks that we were around from the FAIRtax, and even some of the folks that we met there, it was just great.
Yes, we did not go hungry. We've got to wrap up this edition of FAIRtax Power Radio. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Bob Scarborough.
The FAIRtax Guys reminding you again, the FAIRtax is the only truly fair tax, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
So, how much will I bring home?
Go ahead.
How much do you make? We'll just say 40,000. Okay, keep it simple. Throw out the deductions, all that stuff. So you got your 40K, right? Now the first 8,000 is going to be taxed at 10%. The 8 to 33,000 is going to be taxed at 15%, and the 33 to 40, of course, is 25%. So that brings your total to $6,345.
Okay, so the average is what?
16%. Okay, and then on top of that, you got Medicare, which is 1.5%, and then of course your Social Security, which is 6.2%. So actually, your new total is $9,405.
Which is
23.65%. You're getting it. You're getting it. Don't even get me started on what the boss has to pay. He's got to pay a portion of your taxes as well, so you don't have to.
Right. And you?
Oh, you'd bring home